How y'all doing? It's Judge Lynn. I was moping this morning. I really was. And then I made a decision. What's up, ladies? What's up? What's up? What do you want? No licking. 'Cause I see what you lick. Um, but anyway, I decided I am not enjoying who I am. So I'm gonna be somebody else. And I've spent a lot of time since my husband died trying to get back to who I was, but I realized that chick ain't available no more. I can't be go back to being his wife because there was so much freedom in that. So much comfort in that I could, I can't do those things that I could do when he was with me at this juncture in my life. It might change it will change at some point. That's not right now. So I need to figure out who I'm going to be right now until I get that fear thing under control. And I can't go back to the chick I was before I met him. Because she was out of her mind completely. I don't know how she kept him. I remember. Oh, well, anyway. So, I remember when we first got married, I wouldn't give up my apartment. And like once a week, I would go over there from work and say I'm getting my mail and wouldn't come back. I'd sleep over there. I'd call him and say, I'm going to stay over here. So his primary job at that juncture was to get me a change of address card so I wouldn't have the excuse. But in my defense, I'd been single all my life, and he was married with 4 kids. Go to the house with 5 dudes when, it was a lot, and I was trying to adjust. But anyway, I can't be her no more, and I don't want to be, because, the only, she made a few good decisions, but not a lot. I had a lot of room for error because I think my parents were very supportive, both economically and emotionally, so I had a lot of room for error. That's why my errors, as ubiquitous as they are, ubiquitous, maybe that's the word for the day, ubiquitous, everywhere. I make errors in all areas of life that are usually associated with my laziness and impatience, which are two weird things to coexist, but they do. So I'd say, so the thing when I was at the, I used to dread lines at grocery stores, but now I'm going to see a line at a grocery store as an opportunity to up my social game. You know what I mean? I already like the people at the grocery store, and they like me because we goof around all the time. But I'm gonna I'm gonna use that as a pleasant time to enjoy people, to find something to compliment in somebody. Me finding that complimenting that lady on her hair. Her hair was beautiful, by the way, just was gorgeous. But it was a way to start a conversation. And even if she didn't like it, it was a way to give her a better day, even if she didn't want to have a conversation. And I think I should look at going out in the world as to how much positivity have I planted once I have left my front door. Because that way I don't think about me, I think about other people. And the more that I think about other people, the less I worry about what's going on with me. And there's a lot going on with me about which I cannot share. But I'm cool. I'm good. And I thought the answer to me being this kind of stuck was to get out, and that I wasn't getting out enough. But part of my homework, my life coach gave me was write out all the places you've gone lately. I've gone to a lot of. I went to Bill Burr and Aries Spears show, and I never do that. I've gone out more in these last 2 years than I usually go. With refugees for months, been doing that, and jujitsu and Pilates, and jabs and SAG-AFTRA meetings and writers groups, both online and in person. I've done all that stuff, all of it. And I think it added to my unhappiness because I was doing it out of a sense of obligation to, I have to fight this, and this is, I have to get out, and I have to fight my natural introversion and all this kind of stuff. But I think it was, but every time I would go, I would be so worried about getting there and not enjoying the people once I got there that it was a wholly negative experience. And I placed that on myself, you know? I would say, oh, you're just terrible. You're dumb. You do. Now, I will admit, going to the writers group was a little stupid because the writers group was called Shut Up and Write. But I think I'm going to go back there too because I do need to shut up and write because I have other books that I'm trying to finish. Again, my publisher is on my behind about it. Having said that, let me say this while I'm right here. Was it Pamela Branch said, you ought to write a book about your wisdoms. And I already have, and I never have them with me, but I made a point. See, I'm changing. I made a point. Now, this is my mother's rules. I wrote this in, well, I don't know, 2007 or something. And it's about my mother being, it's a practical job, becoming an emotional genius. I was a shy, reticent child who was rocking in a closet and didn't want to get out because I believed that the world was an arbitrary, incendiary place that picked people up at random and burned them up alive. I honestly believe everything was just waiting. And this is how my mother walked me bit by bit, step by step, through the canal of crazy, down the road of ridiculous, till I finally got to some place not of peace, but at least resembling rational. So that's what happened there. And then the second book that my publisher says I never talk about is Making Marriage Work. And the interesting part about this is I wrote this, Big E and I weren't getting along, and I remember once I published, he just kind of ran his fingers through it and says, is there anything in here I ain't gonna like? And I said no, because even though I said we weren't getting along and said a little about what he was doing, a little bit I was doing, I did it a very general way, because I'm very, very, very protective of that brother, as you know. And my last one, this one I published by myself, and this is called Dear Sonali, Letters to the Daughter I Never Had. I had 6 sons. I've always wanted a daughter, and because my mother and I were so close. See, my mother being close, this is like. Sometimes I have to go in here and read this to figure out what I'm feeling like. Let the first wave pass you by. She taught me that. I want you to go still when something jumps on you, when a feeling jumps on you. Because sometimes I jump hard, jump back, and jump ugly. You can't have that. You can't be in charge of that. And I know I've told this story before, but I just want you to hear this. I was at a grocery store with my mother, and we ran into a woman, and they talked, and my mother didn't introduce me, which was unusual. So I talked to her, I said, Mom, why didn't you introduce me to that lady? And she goes, I didn't remember her name, so I couldn't do that. And I said, oh, you don't know her very well? She says, oh, no, I've known her for 40 years. And I said, well, how come you can't remember your name? You've known her for 40 years. She says, I don't like her. And I don't leave room in my mind, in my head for people I don't like. Do you know how cool that is? Is to say, hey, this person is not relevant to me and I don't like her, so my mind won't even process her. She can't remember people she don't like. She pushes them out of it. I mean, to have that kind of control over how you feel. Good Lord, I just, whoo! And she got me where I was going. And she got my sister where she was going. Absolutely different child, both of us. She says, Lynn, I was trying to push you out of the house and I was trying to pull your sister Kathy back in. But anyway, so that was that. But I'm picking a new person to be. And the first thing she's gonna be is calm and open. I just want to get in and get out, get in and get out. I'm gonna be calm and I'm gonna be open. To what end, I don't know, other than these are two traits that I am choosing to pursue as a course of action. Now, to me, this is the part my mother was really good at, process and procedure. You can always say, I want to be better, I want to be smarter, I want to be calmer, I want to be nicer, I want to be this, I want to be that. But what we typically do is say, I want it, and continue to do the same thing yesterday because you don't know any more than you did yesterday. So how could you change? And what she's good at is you have to think of something that you think might get you there. So it's me not going to Instacart, going to the grocery store, standing in the longest line. It's me, and that may not work. I may have to do something else. But I'm going to put a process and procedure in place to see I can pick at this particular part of my personality. And if I can pick at this particular piece of my personality, that will offer me something new I did not have access to before. And I can take that little improvement and go find something else to improve. What's up? I know you want to play ball. I do. I was out there this morning. I'm apologizing to the dogs now. But anyway, that's what I'm doing. And I don't know. That's what I'm doing. Oh, and to the woman, I was almost completely compared. She said, she was married for 33 years, and she said she wasn't pretty enough to get anybody else. And so she was just going to be satisfied with what she had. And I just want to say this. Don't compare yourself to what you see on the net, because ain't none of us as good looking as you think as this stuff makes us look. That's number one. And number two, you don't have to be in a relationship to be happy. I think that's true, despite what some people are telling me that I'm just being, overly. I don't know how you could tell somebody that. You know, on one end, say, man, I wish my wife, I could meet a woman who talks to me talks so positively about my husband. That wasn't my doing. That was his doing. He treated me so well. I couldn't. That's what it was. I'd have to lie, or I have to tell you some secrets. But you know, I ain't talking negatively about him because he earned it, not because I'm simply a right woman. And if you want somebody to talk positively about you, you got to be positive. You are interacting with them in a positive fashion. Don't look at their behavior. That was my mother's big thing. Bathroom mirrors first where you look anywhere you have, because it's the rule against teching. I think that was number 10, and it's like technically in any circumstance go wrong, there's a whole lot of negative things that are happening. You probably played one piece in it. But the most important thing is people usually make an effort to look at everything but the piece that they participated in. But my mother always said that's the piece you look at because that's the one piece you know you can control. See what I'm saying? So you gain sympathy by blaming all around you, but you gain control if you can figure out what your part is in it and not repeat that. May not meet the circumstances, may not make everything right, but that's a process you can engage in to ameliorate any problems that you might have. That's all I'm saying. If I'm feeling technically able, I'm going to put the word ubiquitous up there. If I'm having a non-technical day, that will not happen. That did not happen. Okay? And Ask me questions in the comments. If you got questions, ask me in the comments. Be more than happy to answer. But, oh, last thing. I'm going out more, and I'm not going to destination places. I'm just going to go do stuff. No more Instacart and DoorDash. Those people I love those places. It's just so easy to do. But I'm going to go out, and I'm going to go out. I'm going to be calm. I'm going to breathe deep. But I'm going to wear this hat. I hope it's not backwards. Oh, I think it is. Feelings are fleeting, felonies are forever. So if I get out and get into an issue with somebody, I'm going to let them see that hat. And then maybe they think twice before they pop me. You have to work it from all angles. Y'all have a fabulous, fabulous day.